Hi, I'm John and welcome to the Jigsaw Puzzler. Today's puzzle is quite a nice little puzzle that I obtained secondhand from somebody who belongs to one of the online puzzle groups that I'm part of. She advertised this puzzle for sale and I snapped it up straight away. It's a 1,000 piece puzzle produced for Australia Post, or the Australian Postal Corporation, called Australian Postage Stamps. I have a sideline hobby and have had since I was a child of collecting postage stamps. Now, I haven't done anything with that hobby for many years, but as soon as I saw this, I just fell in love with the image on this puzzle. This puzzle depicts a range of very early Australian postage stamps. Stamps from the 6 colonies and the Federation of Australia after 1901. So the range of stamp dates are from the late 1800s to the early 20th century. And there's quite a range here. I'll talk about the quality. I'll take us a tour around the image, and then we'll have a look at how I tackled this puzzle. This one was a sheer delight to do. I really, really loved it. Okay, the quality of the puzzle is unexpectedly good. When you come across a brand of puzzles that don't produce a lot of puzzles, you do wonder whether they are going to be little more than some sort of a gimmick. Poor quality pieces, poor quality image, and all the rest of it. Well, I have to say the quality of this one is excellent. I can pick it up in its entirety. It holds together beautifully and is lovely, lovely quality. Nice, thick pieces. The unusual thing about this one is that the pieces are very tiny, like really, really small. So when I opened the tube, and it's a tube-shaped container, and saw the bag inside it, I was shocked actually at the miniature size of the pieces. However, it's still very good quality. A bit shiny on the surface, so the lights do reflect a little bit, but nice thick pieces and ribbon cut, just the standard set of piece shapes for this particular puzzle. But as I say, very tiny pieces. There were times when I was putting it together where I felt like I had really fat fingers because I was struggling to kind of manipulate the tiny little pieces. However, it's a beautiful puzzle, and look, I really, really enjoyed this one. I'm not getting rid of this. I'm not giving it away. I'm not selling it. I'm going to keep this one, partly because its subject matter is deeply interesting to me, but also it was just so much fun to do. I'm going to do it again. When you open the box, there was also a poster with the image on it, despite there being a fairly almost complete wraparound of the image on the box as well. So on the image we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 38 postage stamps. Now, we don't use postage stamps as nearly as much as we used to back in the day, but we have 38 early Australian postage stamps. We have stamps from New South Wales, the earliest of the colonies. We have stamps from Victoria, the third colony to be formed. We have stamps from Western Australia, from South Australia, and one from Tasmania. Some from Queensland, but one from Tasmania, the second colony actually to be formed as Van Diemen's Land. So Queensland, Victoria, South Australia, Western Australia, and New South Wales and Tasmania. A variety of different images. However, there are some similarities. But in addition to the 6 colonies, there are some stamps from Australia. So for those of you who are a bit unfamiliar with Australian history, in 1901, on the 1st of January 1901, the 6 colonies formed into one nation, the state of Australia, and that through an act known as Federation. Queen Victoria had signed the Act of Parliament to form the country of Australia out of the 6 separate colonies. And so some of these stamps, the ones that say Australia on them, are post 1901. For example, the very famous Kangaroo series stamps down here, one of the earliest series of postage stamps in Australia. We have several, the halfpenny, the 3 halfpennies, the 1 penny and the 2 penny from the King George V series, just a profile portrait heads of the King and the coat of arms of Australia, the emu and the kangaroo, and some wattle. Then we have a koala and a platypus, and an emu, all 3 of which are different price denominations but belong to the same series. Actually, the kangaroo as well. Emu, koala, platypus and kangaroo, all out of the same series. And and a single one here in the middle here of 1 shilling and 6pence, just of a Australian postage stamp. All right, so different colours, different shapes and different sizes. Now I'm going to include a photo here because as a child I was a stamp collector, and because I live in Australia I had fairly ready access to Australian stamps. Now I have a number of these stamps, the originals, in my collections. I don't think they're particularly valuable. However, I have them, and I did lay them out on the board and take a photograph of them in the approximate relative positions to the stamps on the puzzle, so that'll come up in the inset. But yes, I have quite a number of them in my collection, and what we notice is that the original stamps are differently proportioned relative to the other ones around this. So in other words, some of these stamps are quite small, like the emu, koala, platypus and kangaroo series. They're physically smaller than some of the other ones, and yet on the puzzle, the designer of the puzzle has made them to look like they're the same size or near enough to the same size as the stamps around it. So the sizes are not relative to one another in real life. All right, the other thing we notice about this puzzle is, of course, being postage stamps, they're quite small, but they're all a variety of different colours. And that makes it a really achievable puzzle to do. Some of them have postmarks. The one here from Victoria in the corner here has quite a heavy postmark, almost obliterates the stamp itself. Others have lighter postmarks, and there are a few, like the Western Australia one, the platypus, this Western Australian one, which don't have postmarks at all. So how did I tackle this puzzle? Well, I tackled this puzzle in a way that I would not normally do a puzzle at all. First of all, I did take all the edge pieces out, and if you watch the time lapse, you'll see that. Secondly, I did a complete sort of the entire puzzle. I almost never do that. Never, because I'm too impatient to get into the puzzle, I never go through all of the pieces and sort them into groups. This puzzle I did. I went by colour. Basic, broad colour ranges: blues, purples, oranges, reds, the browns, greens, and then there were some greyish coloured ones as well. And then there were a handful of pieces which formed some of the gap between the puzzle pieces that didn't have one colour or the other of the adjoining stamps on it. So some miscellaneous gutter pieces, if you like, and I put them in a pile. I'm impatient to do a puzzle. When I get one out, I really want to get into it. I do pull the edge out, and that's, if nothing else, a place to start, and then try to get into a section of a puzzle. This one, full sort. Full flip, full sort. And I went colour by colour. I did not start with the edge first. I started with a colour, and I started with purple. It was one of the smaller piles of colour, and there are 2 stamps down here that are both from New South Wales. New South Wales, is that right? Yes, 2 from New South Wales, and this darker one from South Australia, and a sort of purplish blue one from Queensland that were in that pile. And because the colour that, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, basically 20 pieces per stamp, it wasn't that hard just to put one stamp together. put another stamp together, put another stamp together, and just do colour matching and pattern matching and get them just floating around in stamp groups. Then I went on to the next colour and put those stamps together. The next colour, the next colour. I did leave blue until last because there are a lot of blue stamps on here. I ended up with red. That's right. I ended up with the red stamps because most of the bulk of stamp 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 stamps on here are red. So I did do red last, and it was more challenging. There are different shades of red, there are different shades of blue, there are different shades of orange. But the red, because there were so many stamps, almost a quarter of the stamps were red, it took a lot longer to do the red ones. However, it was not a hard puzzle, not a bit, and such a relief from the last 3 weeks of doing very difficult puzzles. A complete pleasure to do. And as I'm doing it, I thought to myself, if you were to hand make, like if you were to take an existing puzzle and to break it up into sections to create your own advent calendar for Christmas, this would be an ideal puzzle for that. Firstly, there are 38 stamps on it, or 37 if you count the 2 joined together here as one. More than enough for the 12 days of Christmas, or the 25 days from the 1st of December up till the 25th, that you could divide up into little sections and give it to somebody bit at a time to create the whole puzzle as like an advent calendar. I think this would make an ideal advent calendar. Absolutely loved doing this. I did it entirely in one sitting, so the time lapse you're watching is one sitting only. From start to finish. It took me a few hours, but there were a few very, very pleasurable hours. I didn't race it, I didn't speed puzzle it, though I do think you could speed this one, race this one, because it is so achievable and it's broken down into such a bite-sized amounts. Yes, a beautiful, achievable puzzle. Did each stamp, put them in their relative positions, and over time, as more stamps got completed and put into the right spot, more of the puzzle came together. And then, of course, I took those excess pieces that were the black gutters and filled those in, did the edges as I went. So once I got a stamp that was on an edge, I might put the orange edge in around the corner of that one, and then a bit of the purple next to it, then some of the red down the bottom here. Just worked my way around the edge. Wasn't particularly systematic. And finally pieced it all together in this beautiful, beautiful puzzle. If I saw another postage stamp puzzle, I would jump on it. In fact, I think I've got a postage stamp puzzle from when I was a kid down here somewhere. So I must dig that out and have a look. Anyhow, we're going to have a time lapse of the single sitting of this puzzle from start to finish. If you'd like to click like and share the channel with your puzzling friends, that'd be great. If you want to leave your comment below, that would also be fantastic. I do look forward to seeing people's comments and their reactions to the puzzles and some really interesting questions that people ask me. All right, on with the time lapse, and thank you for watching.